Hello and welcome to Untitled Live. Today we will talk about Azure communities and discuss the importance of sharing knowledge, blogging, and being a member of an Azure community. Sorry, John, we are scheduled at the same time. Today I have another special guest, and you know him as Azurecraze, Imran Rashid. Imran, welcome.
Well, thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, and this is my classic question. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Imran Rashid. I'm from the UK. I'm employed as a solutions architect for a company called Daisy IT Group. I've worked in IT for over 15 years. I work with Azure, 365, VMware, basically anything tech I enjoy working with. I blog at cloudbuild.co.uk. I'm the founder of Azurecraze.com, and I'm the co-founder of the Bradford Cloud User Group.
Okay, great. So you said that you have a blog cloudbuild.co.uk. So could you please tell about your blog?
Yeah, sure. So as I explained in my intro, cloudbuild.co.uk is a tech blog. I started in 2008, originally to document IT fixes, and very quickly found it was accessible to everyone around the world. And now it's a place where I document IT fixes, tutorials on Azure 365, and share it with people from around the world.
So you start blogging, and also I have a blog, and most of us start blogging and have active blogs. So why it's important to start a tech blog?
Yeah, that's a very good question. In my opinion, I think it is very important for every techie to start a tech blog. I know some people won't agree with that, but in my opinion, everyone should share their knowledge. A tech blog allows you to not just benefit the community, but also benefits you, because it's a place where you can store all your fixes, your tutorials, document your fixes, document your tutorials, learn from them because they seem to stick with you once you document them. But also, what we need to remember is when we're doing our Google searches, we're coming across fixes, and you might not realize, but it's from someone else's personal blog who's taken out the time to, document that fix. So just in return, if every techie gave something back to the community by, blogging about a fix that they fixed, that would help someone, maybe hours and days, of trying to troubleshoot an issue. So I think everyone should at least try to set up some kind of blog where they can blog about, about the fixes, about tutorials. But also the importance of setting up a blog is it's a way to promote yourself. It says a lot about you. It can, there's people that have job offers just because the blogs kind of tells people a lot about them, about the kind of material they're studying, what kind of issues they're fixing, and most importantly, importantly of all, they're actually sharing knowledge, which is one of the key points.
Okay, great. So we always recommend to start a blog to everyone in the tech community. So I want to ask, what should I do if I want to start a blog? Because there are lots of blogging tools like WordPress and static site generators like Hugo. Or as a developer, should I start my own template and my own blogging application?
So me personally, I've always used WordPress. I will explain my setup first, and I'll explain the options out there if you don't want to go for paid, for a paid package. So I go for the self-hosted WordPress version. So I purchase web hosting from a company, costs about £30 a year, a domain which costs about £6 a year, and I've gone with a hosting provider who offer something called one-click applications, where you can literally go into the portal and you can, with a few clicks, you can actually have a blog up and running. Now, if you don't want to go down that route, you might want to set up a free blog. So if you go to WordPress.com, WordPress offer you a free blog. Now, the downfall to that is it will have WordPress.com at the end of the URL. So let's say if you wanted to go for a blog, my blog, it would be myblog.wordpress.com. And Blogger, also owned by Google, they do something similar. But again, you would have myblog.blogspot.com. Now, the disadvantage there is you don't own the website. You have no control over you can't do a lot with it. You can't customize it. It comes out of the box. But a great way for you to have, to kind of set up and have a feel of what blogging involves. Now, if you want to, you can also go back to WordPress.com and you can go for the personal version, which is £3 a month. Again, it's not as good as the self-hosted version. With the self-hosted version that I use, I've got full control. If I really wanted to, even though you don't need to be a developer or a coder to be able to set up a blog. That's quite important to know. You can set up a blog from a GUI really quickly within a matter of a couple of hours. If you decided you wanted to start tweaking the code, you've got full access to the code. It's open source, you've got full access. If you went with WordPress.com, you don't have access to the code. You can't install every plugin you want. You can't, there's a lot you can't do. Now, if you wanted to do that, you would have to pay more money. You can go up to $300 a year for you to be able to customize everything within WordPress. Me personally, I pay £30, £35 a year. I get full control to my website. Yes, there are cons as well to having your own self-hosted WordPress site. You would have to update the WordPress site when new security updates come out, but they literally take one click. I always back up the WordPress site. Again, there's no programming knowledge required. You can go into the cPanel, back up your site, it downloads it to your machine, update your plugins, no issues, you're fine. Any issues, you can restore it. Most hosting providers will assist you with restoring the website as well for free. So we are actually, as part of the Bradford Cloud user group, me and my colleagues Shabazda and Sajid, we are this month setting up a series, possibly 4 or 5, recorded series of how to start your blog from start to end with the various options out there. So if you stay tuned and follow at Brad Krug on Twitter, we will soon be setting up those sessions and which will basically help you set up your own blog.
Okay, great. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, this is my next question. What is Azurecraze?
Right, yeah. Azurecraze is a website I formed, again, runs on WordPress. It might not look it, but it runs on WordPress. Self-hosted, I've purchased hosting, I've installed WordPress, and this site is running on WordPress. This is a site that I set up to provide beginners of Azure and people in tech who want to start a journey in Azure to communicate and contact the Azure community. All these people that you're seeing on the Azurecraze.com website are people who are Azure experts, who work with Microsoft, Azure VMs, people who have started out their journeys in Azure. So you can read these interviews. There's a number of questions, and they answer their question. These questions. You can read these questions, and you will have an idea of how all these kind of people that kindly offered to provide me with an interview to share their knowledge, and how they started their journey in the Azure world, and where did they start with learning, certifications, public speaking, basically there's loads of information on there. You could go on there, you could have a read, you could even leave a comment, and that comment, if it's appropriate, will be sent to them. All of these people here are very, very easily kind of contacted. You can basically really easily contact these people. All of them are very helpful, and you can contact them on their social media handles. Again, they're all documented under each interview. So you can contact these people, follow them on LinkedIn, Twitter, all of the profiles are within the interview, and start following them, and you can learn Azure. You can learn how, what these people are up to every day. So yeah, a great website to go on. And again, it wouldn't have been possible without all these kind techies taking part.
Okay, that's great. And I wonder what was the reason for you starting Azurecraze.com?
Good question again. The reason why I set up Azurecraze.com, I've been in tech for over 15 years. And when I started to learn Azure, I was learning Azure, and you know what? There's loads of documentation out there. It's great. Azure is a massive platform. They provide loads of different services. Sometimes it can be confusing on which route you want to take. But when I started to learn Azure, I was hearing from people that there's this Azure community out there. And to be honest with you, working in tech, I wasn't aware of this community. And someone said, oh, they're on Twitter. And I said, why would they be on Twitter? So I actually logged onto Twitter. I had a Twitter account, but I wasn't very interactive on there. I logged onto Twitter and I start finding all these individual people that were very helpful, always wanting to share knowledge, sharing the same passion that I have about sharing knowledge. So I start following all these people and eventually thought, if it was difficult for me to find people, all these people, how would other Azure users be kind of, those people that want to start the Azure journey, they might be struggling to find these people. So I thought of, again, I thought, what can I do to pass that knowledge of these contacts onto other people and share their journeys? At first, I thought no one's going to be interesting, no one's going to be interested. I'm going to contact these people and they'll just ignore me. They're obviously busy people, will they have the time for me? So I started thinking of a domain. I came out with a domain name. I set up the website and I still wasn't too sure. Even after purchasing the domain name, I thought people are going to think I'm crazy, Azurecraze. So I contacted someone called Gregor Suttie. He's a Microsoft MVP. And I tweeted him, never ever tweeted him before. But I found he was very, very helpful on Twitter. He was probably one of the first people that I found on Twitter. And then I found loads of other people like Shabazz Dar, and there was Richard Hooper. There's loads of people. All of these interviews are on Azurecraze, by the way. So I contacted Gregor, and Gregor was like, he basically replied and said, "Imran, great idea, go for it." And that's it. I thought, wow, this is gonna work. And he even gave me the first interview. And Mert gave me an interview as well. He's on there as well, by the way, if you want to check his interview out. Very popular interview as well. So I started to approach people, and I found people were responding. Yeah, absolutely, we'll help out. And by the way, again, these people don't get paid for, they're not getting paid for this. They're doing this for free, just to pass on that knowledge. So they start sharing this. They basically ask me for the interview questions, and I would ask them whatever I want, and they would return it, and I would upload it to the website, and I would publish it on Twitter. And it became really popular. Everyone started enjoying the website, and it's doing really well at the moment. So yeah, that's how it all started. It all started me starting to enhance my knowledge in Azure. And I wanted to study more, take more exams. Someone said, go on Twitter, and eventually Azurecraze was formed from that Twitter experience.
Okay, you have already answered this question, but I want to ask again, and I want the details. Why did you choose the name Azurecraze?
Okay, this is another tip for someone. When you're looking for a domain, if anyone's got a blog out there or a website, when you're looking for a domain, you find every single one's taken. Someone's registered it. And if they've registered it, they're selling it for £5,000 or $10,000 or whatever. And it took me ages. It took me absolute days finding that right domain. And I was just thinking one day, and there was all these people on Twitter, and they were all just felt like they were crazy about Azure. Everyone was loving Azure. I'm obviously an Azure fan myself. And I thought, all these people are crazy. They're crazy about Azure. And that's it. I thought, Azurecraze.com. I go, you know what? It won't be available. I went on and it was available, luckily. And I just purchased that domain, Azurecraze.com. And people actually gave me really good feedback saying it's a great domain. So yeah, that's how the idea came out, by Azurecraze people.
Okay, great. So you said that you reach out people for an interview, but let's imagine that I've seen your website and I want to make an interview with you. How do people reach out for an Azurecraze interview?
Okay, yeah, I've had people reach out to me as well, saying, look, we're willing to help out. And the way they reach out to me is via Twitter, so it's at Azurecraze. You can also contact me at IT Support Blog, which is my personal handle. But you could go to Azurecraze.com. There's a contact us form there, and I'll be more than happy for you to share your journey. Whether you're a beginner, you've just started out on Azure, you're most welcome. It's not just for those experts or people that are well into the Azure journey. If you're a beginner who's just started out, maybe you're studying Azure, you're most welcome, to come in and I'll provide you. Again, it's a written interview. So if you're a bit, if you're not fond of having a video interview, it's actually a written interview. I'll provide you with the questions, you return them, and I'll publish your interview.
So, do you have any future plans for Azurecraze?
Yeah, so I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. I've actually got a backlog of interviews that I need to upload. I'm letting some people down because there's so many people that have actually said that they wanna take part. So I'm hoping this weekend, with it being the bank holiday weekend in the UK, I'm going to be sitting down and I'm going to be uploading more interviews. But my future plans are to continue uploading interviews from Microsoft employees who work in Azure, which there's quite a few on there, Azure MVPs, non-Azure MVPs, and people that have just started their journey in Azure, so beginners that have just started studying Azure, or they've just, for example, they've just started to build servers in Azure. So I'm hoping to reach out to those people that have just started their journey in Azure and learn a bit more about their experience.
Okay, you did great things building an Azurecraze site, reaching out people, and these interviews is perfect.
Thank you.
But you're welcome. How did you get involved with the Azure community? Is this your first time?
So I've never really been. I've always been a bit of a shy person, to be honest with you. I've never really come for. This is actually, believe it or not, this is my first one-to-one interview with Mert, and Mert was kind enough to approach me, and this is my first time. I've been on our Bradford Cloud user group. We've done shows on there, but that's more of a team with my co-founders, Sajid and Shabazz, and we obviously have loads of other community members on there. But yeah, I never came forward in terms of I was always like an anonymous blogger who would just blog IT fixes on my blog and never really got involved. To be honest with you, I didn't even know, there was a community out there that was so helpful. The Azure community is amazing. I didn't even know it existed. Working in IT 15 plus years, I didn't know. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of other people out there that don't know and they need to know. So when I came into the Azure community, I didn't actually come into the community. I came to find resources to study and learn. And the way I got involved, I came back onto my Twitter account. I've been on Twitter since 2010, but I've never interacted. It's mainly been, I had a plugin installed on my WordPress site, which would automatically post out all my fixes into Twitter. So that's why I've got so many tweets on there, because it would automatically send it. And then I start building up a following. But I never interacted. When I came onto Twitter, I didn't have my name on there. It was literally just IT support blog, and I didn't have a picture on there. It was just very anonymous. I started to follow people. I started to follow people, not like a stalker, but I started to follow people that knew about Azure and had an interest in Azure, Microsoft 365, kind of tech related. I started to follow these people, and I found how they were interacting with people, and they were really helpful. Eventually, I changed my handle name to Imran Rashid. I put a picture up, for the first time. I'm not on Facebook or anything else. And then I start interacting with people like Mert, Gregor, Richard, Shabazz, there's Sajid, so many people I can name, and I start interacting with them, and they were responding. And eventually, I didn't realize, but I was starting to be part of the community because I was tweeting. I was continuing tweeting tutorials from a blog. I was retweeting Azure kind of KB articles. So, for example, if Azure have shared something, I would retweet to pass it on. And I eventually didn't realize, but made loads of virtual friends. And then Azurecraze came in, and I got to know more people. So yeah, it was just like a journey of starting to learn more about Azure and kind of preparing for exams. Basically following people. I eventually started to attend user groups. So I found a lot of these people on Twitter, they set up these monthly user groups where they have experts come on and talk about Azure 365, VMware. I started joining those and I kind of got more comfortable with these people. I then started connecting with them, and I found that all these people had a passion for sharing knowledge like I did. So yeah, it's been a really good journey, but I've literally just been within the Azure community for 1 year, and it started from the pandemic with lockdown. So it's not been long. I've worked in IT for over 15 years, but I've only come forward in the past year.
Okay, So you are mentioning about Bradford Cloud User Group, and can you please explain it?
Yeah, so the Bradford Cloud User Group was founded by the three of us. There's Shabazz, whose Twitter handle is @ShabazDar. There's Sajid, whose Twitter handle is @SajidCloud, and there's myself. I've never met Shabazz. I've never met him personally. I've met him through Twitter. Again, another passionate person who likes sharing knowledge. And Sajid I knew, and we basically one day decided that we wanted to do something more. We wanted to set up a user group because there wasn't one in the local area. So we said, you know what? Why do we set up a user group? And I contacted Shabazz Dar and I said, because I had interacted with him on Twitter, and I said, would you be interested in? Because he's from Bradford. And I said, would you be interested in this user group? And he was literally, absolutely 100%. Give me a number. Let's quickly, let's talk. He was really, really excited. And, so me, him, and Saj, we got onto a little Teams meeting. And that's the first time I saw Shabazz, kind of saw him in person, virtually. So we basically spent a couple of hours deciding what we were going to do. So we decided that Azure user group, the Bradford Cloud user group would be a group that would allow us to discuss Azure 365, AWS, Google Cloud, Alibaba Cloud, VMware, but with the main purpose of helping new people coming into tech, as well as promoting new speakers. So people that have been basically, those people that are blogging away and they're kind of hidden away. We want to find those people, and I think that they do deserve recognition. That we need to give them a platform to be able to showcase all that knowledge they have and provide demos and stuff. And I know it's not easy, but that is the aim. So yeah, it was an idea that we started. It was an idea that we thought of in the pandemic. It's obviously still the pandemic, but it was August time when we started thinking about it. And then within a month, we had set up the Bradford Cloud User Group.
So why did you name it as Bradford User Group?
So basically, Bradford is a city of Bradford. So we wanted to promote, one of the main aims was also to promote tech within Bradford. And Bradford is a city within the UK. And we wanted to promote there. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean that our user groups are just for Bradford, people in Bradford. No, we've recently had, actually just a couple of weeks ago, we had a live user group with senior Microsoft advocate, Shannon Keane. She was talking about VMware in Azure. We also had Lisa Clark, who was talking about Azure Stack Portfolio. We've also had, and again, Shannon Keane's from America, and Lisa's from Scotland. We've had MVPs Gregor Sutty and Richard Hooper on there as well. Again, they're not from Bradford, Newcastle and Scotland. We've had Isidora from Switzerland. We've had Holly Lehman, who's a Microsoft program manager, all the way from the US, virtually. So it's not just for the people of Bradford. We want to promote tech in Bradford, but it's open to anyone from around the world.
Okay, that's great. Sometimes people ask me about why I blog, doing webcasts or comment stuff, and lots of people wonder why we do this, because we do this for free. We are not making money from this comment stuff. So what do you think about it?
Why do we blog? Okay, so my personal journey was, to blog, to share my fixes. It's all about sharing knowledge. And actually, another very important point is a lot of us don't make money from this. I've set up a blog, I've paid for hosting, I've paid for domain. I don't make money from it. A lot of us, including Mert, we've got a passion for sharing knowledge. And I personally get a buzz out of, sharing knowledge, Mert, and I'm sure you're the same. When my first comment came on, I think in 2008, when I was publishing fixes, And eventually Google start indexing my website because Google search loves blogs. And when that first person commented on my blog, that first comment to say, thank you very much, you've just helped me resolve an issue, I had such a great feeling and it made me push forward. So sharing knowledge is the main purpose why we blog. Also, all these people in the Azure community, you'll find that they're doing it just to share knowledge. Azurecraze.com, every single person has taken up hours of the time to complete interviews just to share knowledge. They're not getting paid for it. They're actually doing this free in their own time, away from their families maybe for about half an hour, and they're typing away and they're providing these interviews just to share knowledge. The Bradford Cloud user group that we formed, we have people on there that come on every month because we have live user groups every month. We have podcasts. You can go to our YouTube channel and you can have a look. But these people don't get paid. They come on, they spend 2.5 hours on a live user group and they share their knowledge. They provide us with demos. For example, recently we had Bas and Neil from Get Nerdy who came on, and they spent 2.5 hours on our user group sharing knowledge, basically providing demos. So yeah, we just do it because we actually, we enjoy it. I'm sure you're the same. You enjoy it. You enjoy helping grow the tech community. I started in tech over 15 years ago. And anyone who comes to me today and says, I want to start a career in IT, I'm there. I'll take up time. I'll help them. I just enjoy it. I just enjoy sharing knowledge, whether it's at work, whether it's on Twitter. If I don't know the answer, fair enough. You find the answer. But I just enjoy blogging. What we're doing now is sharing knowledge right now. And me and, Mert, we're doing this in our own time. We're just sharing it. All those people that are viewing, all those people that join the user groups, they're also taking out time just to join, to support, to learn. Everyone's just doing it. It's all about gaining and sharing knowledge.
Okay, you said maybe I don't know the answer, but I will continue to blogging. And I wonder if you are making a webcast and you are asked a question and you don't know the answer. What would you do?
So far you've not asked me a question that I don't know. Hopefully, I'm hoping I don't get any. I don't get any. But honestly, if I got a question that I didn't know, which I have got loads of times, we are not experts in everything. I might be at work, a customer might be ask me a question. Never make it up, like they say in the UK, wing it. You never do that. You never make up something and say, yeah, I know the answer. Because some people will panic and say, you know what, the customer thinks I know everything. Just tell them, I don't know the answer, but I know someone who may know the answer, or I will get back to you and do some research. Take the details. If you're in a live event, you ask them to leave the details with the organizer, and you get back to the organizer or get back to them directly. But I would never, I'm never embarrassed. I'm never embarrassed to say, I don't know, but I will find out. And I normally do find out, and I will come back to that person. So on my blog, for example, when I'm blogging on cloudbuilder.co.uk, I will blog about something, and someone might say, well, this didn't work for me, but do you know why? And when you start asking them what the issue is, you might not know the answer, but when you start doing some research, you'll do the research, you'll update the blog after you find the fix, and then you just basically email that user back. So never make it up, and there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know, but I'll find out for you.
Okay, thank you. So I want to ask a related question. So sometimes people ask me, I want to do some common stuff like webcasts, public speaking, but I am too nervous to do it. So what would you recommend for those who are too nervous to come on a webcast or speak at a webcast?
It's probably the worst person to ask a question to. I'm someone who's just, it's like I said, it's my first time, one-to-one kind of interview, like never done it before. It's always been on a gathering kind of on Bradford Cloud user group. But I was nervous before coming on this. I'm very, very calm at the moment, and I don't feel nervous at all. It's also down to the organizers' expertise, the way they deal with the situation. So Mert is obviously fantastic. It's the way he's obviously asking the questions and making it easy for me. But this is a very good question, because I asked the same question to every interviewee on Azurecraze.com. because I wanted to know what it's like. So I asked these interviewees, what would you recommend to people that are nervous as well? And do you ever get nervous? These people that have presented, hundreds and thousands of events, and believe it or not, even those people get nervous just before the event, and they say there's nothing wrong with being nervous. Now, if you were like me, who wasn't willing to come forward onto a webcast, I would recommend that you contact people like Mert. You've got Mert here who will help you. He's basically a mentor. He'll help you. You've got people like there's obviously the tech community. So if you interact, if you just want to start off, for example, and you don't want to go straight into it, it's absolutely fine. My journey was interacting with the community on Twitter just by texting, messaging. I then joined the free user groups. I started to ask questions on Azurecraze.com about what other public speakers felt like when they started out. Is it okay to be nervous? I found out that sometimes just having a sip of water when you get nervous is also fine. I even came across someone who's a public speaker who said whilst he was giving a speech, he nearly fainted. So it's even the experts, this happens to them as well. But if you want to get started out by joining the tech community on Twitter, joining those user groups, come onto Bradford Cloud user group, come on to Mert's, MS how-to shows, the Cloud family that's run by Gregor and Richard. There's also there's loads. There's Cloud family. There's Dwayne Natwick. He's an Azure MVP. He just tweeted today. He's looking for speakers for an event in September, and he is looking for people that want to improve their speaking. So he's willing to mentor you. So get in touch with people like that. There is so many people out there that are willing to help. But to get started, join Twitter, interact, join other user groups. You don't have to turn your webcam on. Eventually, you will turn your webcam on. You'll be so comfortable, like I did. And then you will just go from there, and you'll find it's actually once you've done one, you won't stop. I got involved with Bradford Cloud user group thanks to Shabazz Dar, who motivated me and Sajid to join and turn on webcams. And I know it's not the same as being at work. When you're at work talking to customers and doing live demos or doing demos, it seems different. You're not nervous. But when you come out to the open, it is very nerve-wracking. Visit Azurecraze.com. You'll find a number of people providing advice. And like I said, you could also contact Mert, who will give you some tips as well.
Okay, thank you. I have a bit technical question, but before that, we have a question from the audience. Why didn't you choose blue color palette in website template?
Why didn't I choose the blue color palette in the website? Is this Azurecraze? Yes,
I think so.
Yeah, I know. I actually thought about this. I thought, what color should I set it up on? I just wanted something different. A good point. I just went for red. But you know what's a very good point. I'm not actually sure why I didn't go for blue. I was actually thinking, believe it or not. Actually, I do remember now. When I did my logo, I was going to create it like an Azure logo, which was going to be blue. And I was going to do an exactly blue thing. And someone said to me, someone said to me, you better be careful. Microsoft might sue you for trying to copy the logo. And I said, oh yeah, good point. Never thought of that. So I changed it to red and a bit of black and white, whatever. And then I thought, you know what? I can't have it blue and the logo different. But one of the reasons was I didn't want it to replicate kind of Microsoft's logo. But yeah, good point. It could have been blue as well. But the main reason was I was just a bit kind of hesitant on setting it up to blue, so it didn't really look like it was an official Microsoft website. Even though I am not affiliated with Microsoft, it's purely an Azure fan page. But I just did that just to kind of not. I didn't want people to think that it's a Microsoft website. So when someone comes along and looks at it and says, "Oh, is this a Microsoft website?" It looks like a Microsoft colored theme. So yeah, but very good question.
Okay, so you asked this question to me on Azurecraze interview, and I want to return it back to you. How can one get started with Azure?
How can one get started with Azure?
Yeah.
Okay, and I should know this because there's so many people that have that I've asked this question to, including yourself. Okay, how does someone get started with Azure? Okay, because this is crazy. Thank you. How does someone get started with Azure? I asked the same question. So whenever I asked the question on Azurecraze, I said, "How does someone get started with Azure?" And every single person responded, "Azure is huge. It's not just building servers. There is so much to Azure. Where do you want to go in Azure?" And the best tip that I was given about every single person is, and this is what I would recommend to everybody, if you want to get started with Azure, but you don't know which direction you want to go in, start with the Azure Fundamentals AZ900 exam. And it's a great course. And if you study that exam, you will learn, you basically get a really good overview of Azure, and you will actually even know which direction you want to go in. Now, you might be asking, where do I go for my study material? You can go to Microsoft Learn. You can go to cloudskills.io, who actually provide an AZ900 course and actually talk you through it. You can go to Skylines Academy, who also provide an AZ900 course. There's Udemy that you can go to. These are the main sites that I use. There's udemy.com, Skylines Academy, cloudskills.io, and there's obviously, most importantly, there's Microsoft Learn. If you go to these websites, you will be able to access videos. So that's Azure Fundamentals AZ900 course, and that'll give you a really good overview and a good start into learning Azure. Also, Azurecraze.com. Don't forget that.
Okay, thank you very much. And by the way, I don't believe this is your first time on one-to-one, because you are great.
No, it is my first time. Thank you.
It doesn't look like so. So I hope to see you on further episodes, maybe more technical topics.
No, absolutely. I really appreciate you. For to come on here is a big thing for me. I've never done this before. I've always been camera shy. Never turned my webcam on. But yeah, I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity. And again, if anybody else wants to start off by talking about your journey, because you'll be comfortable by. Maybe I'm comfortable because I'm talking about my journey of, in the tech world and Azurecraze.com and my blogging and how I joined the community. So maybe someone else can come on and talk about their journey, of how they started in IT and what they do. So if you do want to get in touch with Mert, and I'm sure he will have you on like he had me on. But yeah, thank you very much for all those people who are watching now, and all those people who are going to watch when the event's been recorded and it's uploaded on YouTube.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, cheers, bye.
Thank you, bye.